Shalom, this is Avraham Shira from Nahar Shalom with a short Shabbat shiur from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. We are going to learn in the first section of Likutei Moharan, Kuf, Kaf, Vav. And this shiur is dedicated to all those people who do not yet know the beauty and the joy and the desire of Shabbat, that all human beings deserve, I feel, to taste the pleasure of Shabbat. Because Shabbat, we are taught by the Zohar, is the reception of an additional soul, a higher portion of ourselves that resides in the root of the soul in heaven all week long, and then comes out and down and into a person on Shabbat. And that pleasure is a very special thing. Rabbi Nachman begins, B'Zohar, B'kama makomot, sheshivchu b'chavaraya et Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. In the Holy Zohar, there are many places where the students praised their master, Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, who is the master of all Kabbalah. And after they praised him, after they experienced some Torah of his, some great chidush, they would say, Ita woi ledara kad tistalek puk ayin v'tishkach. Woe to the generation when Rabbi Shimon goes back to heaven. Woe to the generation when Rebbe Shimon passes away. Go out and check and you will find. Now, Puk Ayin V'Tishkach is a common phrase in the Talmud where the rabbis are, generally they're telling a student to go out and find out that the answer that we just gave you, whatever we're learning, is correct. And investigate for yourself is another way of saying it. But the students, it's very interesting, the connection that they're praising the great rabbi, and then they're experiencing the thought of losing him. Now, this is not a stam juxtaposition, that you can have great praise and pleasure from a tzaddik, from his Torah, from his energy, from his peace, from his yeshuva dat, his settled consciousness. And then right afterwards, you think about losing him. What's going to be when he passes away? So it's a very interesting juxtaposition of ideas, because it is the way of people that when we experience something very high and holy and pleasurable, we're afraid of losing it. And I think that there's a transition that takes place in a person's soul from receiving the pleasure of somebody and then being afraid of losing it. Now, in psychology, this is a common thing where children are given or experience certain pleasures, and then they're taken away, and so they form a pattern in their mind that, oh, I better get this thing now because I'm going to lose it and I'm going to experience lack and loss. So there's a shift between the experience of the light of the tzaddik, which Rabbi Nachman calls the light of the tzaddik Shabbat, and we know the Zohar in another place teaches us that when the Jewish people sinned at the golden calf, they lost a portion of their souls. They all went back to the root soul in Moses, in Moshe Rabbeinu. And then they were, all those shabbos, all those portions of souls that were lost because of the golden calf would be returned, the Zohar says, to each person who keeps Shabbat for the day of Shabbat. And then afterwards, it would go back to that storage house in heaven by the soul of Rabbi Shimon. And Rabbi Shimon is not just one soul, but rather he is the reappearance of the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, as the Arizal is taught. And so we understand that the tzaddik is the depository of power and soul for everyone else in the generation. Okay, and the Shabbat comes back to a person through that channel. So we can understand that the pleasure of Shabbat is like the pleasure of the tzaddik. There is a restfulness, a settledness, a centeredness that comes upon us from the Holy Shabbos and from righteous people at this level. Okay, so Rebbe Nachman continues, and this idea that we've been talking about, Ze bechinat Shabbat vayinafash, right? You come to rest, and vayinafash is a verb that is taken from the noun nefesh, or soul. You could translate it as becoming souled. But the idea is also the rest. V'kevan sheShabbat, oy avdad nafshi. And so too, when their Shabbat comes, a person experiences that soul. And then afterwards, it goes back to heaven and he loses it. And the pleasure is not the same. Ketzad, we see, Shemechamad Godel Tarnug, because of the greatness of the pleasure of Shabbat, because of the great pleasure of Shabbat, we mourn a little bit the loss of that extra soul on Motzi Shabbat. And this is the mourning of the loss of Shabbat is being compared subtly to the mourning of the loss of the tzaddik. And this, a week ago, we lost a great tzaddik in our generation, Rav Eliezer Koenig of Tzfat, and he was a true teacher and a righteous person and a follower of Rabbi Nachman. Now, and when I was around Rav Koenig, by the way, I felt that. I felt that peace of his soul entering my soul. And the peace of that tzaddik is a part of Shabbat. Okay, so Rabbi Nachman continues, okay, matchilim tekef litagea v'litzta'er l'avedat ha'nefesh b'motzi Shabbat. Immediately after Shabbat, we start to feel the loss, like the students of Rabbi Shimon. V'kein ha'chavraya. Because of the great pleasure that they received from their master. Immediately the longing for the thing that gave me pleasure returns. And that is why they started to think about the loss that there would be when Rabbi Shimon finally left this world. B'chol makom sheshibechu chavrei et Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, ad shegilu lahem sod nifla timtza she'achar kach amar lahem od chidushay Torah. And we see in all the places where the students would praise Rabbi Shimon about the revelation of a particular secret that he was revealing. Now, that anybody who's opened up the Zohar knows it is a fantastic, indescribable book. It happens to be about 2,000-3,000 pages long. It comes usually in a 10-volume set. And Rabbi Shimon fills those books with his Chidushei Torah. But what we're learning here is very interesting, that when the Rebbe would reveal to them something, oftentimes in the Zohar, they would go over and kiss his hand or kiss him on the head. And Rabbi Shimon would weep. And guess what? Afterwards, he would start revealing more Sodot Torah, more secrets. Because the opening of the soul to the secrets of Torah is a precious thing. It doesn't happen all the time. But once it happens, we see that the students are drawing more secrets of Torah out of Rabbi Shimon. And that's why it says in the great song Bar Yochai, Shemen Sason Mechaverecha, the oil of joy from your friends. Now you would think that Rabbi Shimon is giving them the oil, Shemen Sason Lechaverecha, giving the oil of joy to his friends. But rather, it says Mechaverecha, that Rabbi Shimon drew the joy, the oil of joy, which of course is a metaphor for the secrets of Torah, that Rabbi Shimon drew those secrets of Torah from his friends, from his experience of their love, from that union around the center of the universe, which we believe is the Torah. He was able to extract more secrets. So I bless all of you to have a wonderful Shabbat and to use the time to be alone with your higher soul, because it's going to leave Motzi Shabbat, and to pray and to meditate and to enjoy your families and to simplify ourselves from the influences of the outside world so that we can have some true time within. Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you next week from the Har Shalom. All the best.